Take it from Tara. Take it from Tara. Take it from Tara. Take it from Tara.
And welcome to Take It From Tara, and we are having an absolutely fantastic Monday. It has snowed today, it has rained today, it has sleeted today, but none of that has gotten us down because we are having an absolute ball. Right here on Take It From Tara, I'm Tara Bassett, your host, and I am so thrilled to have a fantastic slate of guests, all of whom happen to be men today. So we're going to call this the Take It From Tara All-Male Review. And I'm so glad to have this group of folks in with us. However, the show is sponsored by a couple of great gals, Tammy Conti and Tabby Conti for An Active Dog, and our friends at Meridian Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine. So we appreciate them so much. Our guests tonight include our wonderful friend Peter Searcy, who is here to sing and play for us. Mike Mays is here for a little coffee talk. And Heine Brothers, well represented by Mike, and Justin Scally of Louisville Metro Animal Services, sharing his determination to make our Louisville Metro Animal Services the very best shelter in the state, and I have no doubt that he can do that. Dr. Eli Kiram is talking about breaking up and moving on, always a challenge in relationships, and Colby Helton of Meridian Acupuncture shares the mysteries of Asian medicine, and I tell you what, the mysteries are well worth finding out about because I had my first acupuncture treatment at his hands the other day, and how exciting that was. I really, really benefited from it, and I'm looking forward to exploring that opportunity again. So right now I want to introduce our very special musical guest. This is the man who always answers the cry for help. And when I called Peter and I said, Peter, we need you to do a fundraiser. Our dog's been hit. She's got a big vet bill. He was out there singing and playing his heart out and doing a fundraiser for us. And we've always been grateful to him for that. So I wanted to kind of pay back a little bit by asking him to come on and be my musical guest on Take It From Tara. And here you are.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And, you know, in your real life, Clark Kent, you are a real estate agent.
Yeah, it's funny how we find our way into certain occupations that we never thought we would do.
Exactly. And he puts on a tie, a suit. He looks very, very spiffy. And actually, we got to know each other a few years ago when I was interviewing you on my Louisville's Best New Homes program as a new home sales rep. And then I found out you were this connected guitar player and singer. And then I found out you were actually a star.
Well,
and you are.
I'm a star who kind of goes up and down.
The rising and falling kind. We like those kind of stars. Well, thank you for being with us. And we're going to hear from Peter throughout the show, a couple of great featured segments so he can do some really great songs for us. And once again, though, thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
After a full day of work selling houses, we'll have to talk about the real estate market, too. We want to talk just briefly to you about another great event that's coming up, and that's the fundraiser for Crescent Hill Radio. It's April the 28th from 4 to 10 p.m. We're going to be raising money for our little nonprofit public radio station right here in Crescent Hill, but it's an internet radio station, so it's heard across the world. And actually, because of the topics we cover, we have listeners from throughout the world, so we're very excited about that. Expo 5 is the location for the big fundraiser, and if you join Crescent Hill Radio as a member right now, $25 a year, you get free admission to come to the fundraiser. So you don't even have to pay the money that they're asking for at the door. Just come on out and be a part of it. It'll be a lot of fun. It's the Sunday before Derby, April the 28th. That's your opportunity to support Crescent Hill Radio and a plethora of fantastic bands. And hey, Mike, how's your vision? Can you read the bands right there on the list of Crescent Hill Radio Derby kickoff? You can even walk over if you have to. Not from Okay, so shout them back to me. Appalachian. Discount Guns is playing. Robbie Bartlett, the fabulous singer. Trappers Keepers. Memphis Beck and Friends. I love them. Bridge 19. Anton Mink. Alana Fugate. And Cree and Hetty, of course. So what a fantastic lineup. Thank you, Mr. Mays. Mike Mays not only is a great barista of coffee, but he also is a great helper of radio hosts who can't see that far anymore. So come on out April 28th. Join Crescent Hill Radio now. Just go to our website, crescenthillradio.com, for fun and excitement coming up. So let's talk to you, Mr. Mays. You are the owner, now sole owner, I understand, of Heine Brothers Coffee.
Well, actually, I have a new partner.
Do you?
Now. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Gary Heine and I ran Heine Brothers Coffee together for about 17 years. About a year and a half ago, we decided to make some changes. And anyway, my new partner is a guy named Chuck Schnatter, and I have actually two new partners, a guy named Chris Lavinson, and we're running things together now.
Fantastic. Well, you guys have really grown because from the first little coffee shop, you've expanded now to 14, did you say?
Yeah, we're in our 19th year. That little shop over there on Longest Avenue, right behind Carmichael's bookstore, opened in October of 1994. And I spoke to a group of high school students today from Assumption who I always like to ask these guys what year they were born.
Yes.
And these women were born in 1994.
Isn't that
and
crazy?
It's hard for me to believe. They've grown up. They've never known Louisville without coffee shops.
That's
but
right.
believe it or not, in 1994, we were the first what is now known as coffee shop to be open here in Louisville. There were no Starbucks. There were no other, Quills, Sunnergoss, Days, Java, Highland. None of those existed before 1994.
And, they're all great. But I tell you what, the ambiance that you have in Heine Brothers is so special and unique. And every place you go is a little bit different. Each one of the shops is a little bit different. They're all unique. But they all give that same kind of really nice, friendly, down-home service. Plus, you've got great internet capability. I have to thank you for that because that's one of my branch offices is my Heine Brothers on Frankfurt Avenue.
Well, I'm really glad to hear you say that. And it's, the fact that all of the stores hopefully feel a little bit unique is intentional. Because, while we do have more than one location, we still take very seriously the fact that we are a Louisville business, a locally owned and operated business.
That's right.
And we want our stores to we don't have like store A, store B, and store C that we're just going to roll out as new spaces come available.
That's right.
We want our stores to fit the neighborhood and the building in which we're going to open them in. And again, it's nice to hear you say you feel like they each have their own
I do.
identity.
And it's so easy to meet people at Heine Brothers. I mean, your friends are always there. All of the folks from the hood are here at Crescent Hills Heine Brothers, but I love to go down to the one in Douglas Loop. It's so much fun. And I really enjoy the fact that you're so green in your approach to business. Talk to us about some of the sustainability measures that you put into work at Heine Brothers across the city.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, but I want to go back just real briefly.
Sure.
I don't want to let go of that place to meet. I feel very fortunate to have been able to be in the coffee business for 19 years now because one of the really fun things about the coffee shop is that everybody comes in the coffee shop.
That's
young
right.
people, old people, students, business people, Republicans, Democrats. I mean, you name it, they come to the coffee shop. And,
That's
and I
right.
love the fact that it's a place that just about everybody feels welcome and comfortable. And,
Excellent.
And at Heine Brothers, we have really tried, and we're still learning how to do this, but we've really tried to operate our business responsibly. And,
Yes.
and for us, that means many things, but one of the things that means is to try to do our part to make decisions that result in treating the planet with respect. So simple things like recycling, we've done from day one. And
Yes.
recycling sounds like a no-brainer. In 2013, everybody recycles. But for businesses, our tax dollars don't pay for
Huge challenge.
recycling. Now, in Crescent Hill, we do have a pilot project. There is a pilot project in the
That's right.
works over in the Highlands right now. But for over 18 years now, we've been paying people on our staff to collect our recyclables and take them to the recycling center. And
fantastic.
so that's just a small example of one of the ways we're trying to do our part to treat the planet with respect.
And you also create nonprofits as you go. Cooperative Coffees, I know Break New Grounds, 15,000 Farmers, all examples of the programs that you at Heine Brothers have instituted to try to make things better for people who are growing locally, people who are working on sustainability and improving the community. And I love those. Talk to us a little bit about some of those programs.
Well, yeah, thanks for bringing those up. We really feel like it's our responsibility as a locally owned and operated business, and we get a lot of support and have gotten a lot of support for years from this community. We're trying to do our part to set the right example. So,
Yeah, you do.
you mentioned Cooperative Coffees. I'm particularly proud of that. That's the green coffee buying group that we're a member of. In fact, we're a founding member of that. As Heine Brothers Coffee, we're too small alone to go direct to farmer groups around the world and buy from them.
Yes.
For you to buy coffee from a growing group in Guatemala or Colombia, you have to buy 40,000 pounds at a time.
Wow.
And we're going to roast about 150,000 pounds total of coffee in the year 2013. So we don't need 40,000 pounds of coffee from any one country.
Yes.
But this group, Cooperative Coffees, is now 24 members. When we founded it in the year 2000, there were 7 of us. We're now 24 members strong, spread out all over the United States and Canada. And we are able to pool our buying power,
Yes.
go directly to farmer groups, and negotiate pricing with them on a fair trade basis. And by the way, it's also all organic coffee.
I love that.
But it's been really wonderful. We've been able to have an impact on these people's lives. And I know this to be true because we get to travel. And I've been able to go to Colombia and Ethiopia and Nicaragua and Guatemala and Mexico, and I've been able to break bread with these farmers and their families, and I've been able to learn about their lives, and I've been able to hear from them that the fact that we're there and have been there for a decade now with some of these groups, buying their coffee at fair trade prices, while it may not be making all of their dreams come true or solving all of their problems, it's meaningful, and it's making a difference in their lives.
And you also take pictures of the Heine Brothers cup wherever you travel, so you can see that cup has traveled all over the world.
And that's not just us, that's customers.
I know, I love that.
With their mugs, yeah.
Okay, talk a little bit about 15,000 Farmers, because we want to talk about that and Breaking New Grounds before we run out of time, because those are both great efforts. Yeah,
well, 15,000 Farmers is an initiative that Gary, my former business partner, it was his brainchild, and he really got it off the ground. And the idea was that there are a lot of people that want to get involved in growing their own food.
Right.
But for people who have never been backyard gardeners before or never grown a tomato plant, it can be daunting.
Yes, it can.
So the thinking behind 15,000 Farmers was, you know what, we can teach 15,000 people here in Louisville to be farmers and to grow some of their own food.
Just the community gardens are fantastic. They're sprouting up all over the place.
So that was the thinking behind 15,000 Farmers. And then with Breaking New Grounds, that grew out of trying to decide what to do with all of these spent coffee grounds that we were generating in our stores. And we, every time you brew coffee, you end up with wet coffee grounds. And for years, we were throwing them in the garbage, taking them out to the dumpster and waving goodbye as they went off to the landfill. And we thought, maybe there's got to be a better way to do this, and maybe this waste product could be a resource. And we started experimenting with feeding the coffee grounds to worms, which at the time it was another one of Gary's interesting ideas that at the time I thought was completely crazy.
Composting,
but it worked. We experimented with composting, and it grew into a very large composting operation at our coffee roastery warehouse that we quickly outgrew. And the idea outgrew us, and we decided we need to form a separate 501c3 organization to try to take this to the next level. Now, there's sort of a not very happy ending to this story. Breaking New Grounds hit the wall this year.
Wow.
And it was a nonprofit, and again, up and running on its own for about the last decade now.
Amazing.
With its own board of directors and own executive director. But as those of us who've worked with nonprofits know, it's challenging to raise the money and to keep the energy level strong. And the board and the current executive director just decided, it had been a great run. We've taught the community a lot about composting and what's possible, but it is no more.
No, it's okay. Yeah. It was a huge success.
Yeah,
and thank you for that decade of work.
I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish.
Absolutely, and I love your innovation, Mike. And that's
Thanks.
The thing I think that stands out about Heine Brothers as a community leader to me, is that you guys take just a radically off-the-wall approach to everything, from the way that you run your shops, really, to the food and drink that you provide, and just the fantastic sense of community and the leadership in the community, because you're involved in a ton of things besides selling coffee.
Well, I really appreciate that. This is a great community in which to run a business. I feel very, very fortunate to be living here in Louisville. I can't imagine living anywhere else, and I really appreciate that.
Well, we're very grateful to have you. And I know you guys have some big things coming up on the Avenue. We've got Trolley Hop all the time, which is the greatest thing. And all of the Heine brothers love to see Trolley Hop come.
Yep.
Because you got a ton of people who walk into that coffee shop.
We love Trolley Hop.
Especially now when it's freezing.
Yeah. And we're especially looking forward to the Easter Parade this Saturday. Always a huge event for us. And not only are my kids giddy, but our staff is giddy because it's
We're giddy too because we are broadcasting it live.
Oh, great.
So Kathy and I are going to be out there on the Avenue, hopefully not in our snowman suits.
No. 30. It's going to be 58 degrees
58
Saturday,
degrees is Mike's official forecast. Mike Mays, our
heard it here.
Crescent Hill Radio official coffee forecaster. And, that's good because this is going to be a big weekend. We want everybody to come out and enjoy the Easter Parade. Get your Heine Brothers coffee. Come by. We're going to be broadcasting live right outside of the Crescent Hill Radio studios at 2520 Frankfurt Avenue. And it's going to go from really one end of the avenue to the other. So everybody can be a part of it. Grab your lawn chairs, come on out and sit down. And with that nice cup of coffee, even if it's 58 degrees, you can get an iced coffee, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
I love that.
Amen.
14 stores. How many employees do you have?
We're 225 plus right now. Yeah,
So you're
hard to
directly
believe.
responsible for the livelihood of that many people. So
Yeah.
thank you for providing that employment for them.
Thank you.
All right, Mike Mays from Heine Brothers Coffee. Appreciate you being with us
Thanks
tonight.
for having me.
Thank you so much, and keep listening to Crescent Hill Radio.
Will do.
You'll hear us talking about
Yeah.
you, Peter. I would love to have you play something special for us. Do you have a song that you would like to share?
I believe I do.
What would it be? Would you like to give us a hint before you start?
I'm going to play one called Annabelle, which is off my last release. And I don't really play it acoustic very often, so it's kind of...
This will be fun. And then we're going to talk about your guitar after this.
We can.
Peter Searcy, ladies and gentlemen.
Fire escape and a trusty grip. Didn't make any promises. Just trying to hold on tight, giving in without a fight. Last time we watched the sunset from here, you said it's lost its mystery. Funny how quickly it goes once the rust begins to show. Hey, Annabelle, I wish you well, but to you I'd never tell that I'm having such a hard time letting go. Hey, Annabelle, please make your mind up and release me from this spell. One of us should be the first to know. Holding on to you hurts more than letting go. Watch the sun go down and drown beneath the rooftops of the city. The wine in our coffee cups felt like twilight in my head. I figured out you can hate or love someone or something at the same time. And how alone I feel lying next to you at night, face to face out on the landing, just trying to understand. Hey, Annabelle, you I'd never tell that I'm having such a hard time letting go. Hey, Annabelle, please make your mind up and release me from this spell. Holding on hurts more than you could know. Oh, 'cause this is where it started. Is this where it ends? Is this the point we both start making promises to bend? Holding back the bitter words no one needs to hear, when all we should say is goodbye, bye, bye, bye. Hey, Annabelle, I wish you well. To you I'd never tell that I'm having such a hard time letting go. Hey, Annabelle, please make your mind up and release me from this spell. Holding on hurts more than you could know. Oh, Annabelle, I wish you well, but to you I'd never tell that I'm having such a hard time letting go. Holding on was just like letting go.
Peter Searcy with Annabelle. Gosh, I love that. Who wrote that?
That was me.
That was you.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about her?
Annabelle is Annabelle is
maybe we should have Dr. Eli come in.
Yeah, that was a perfect song for Dr. Eli there. Now, Annabelle is a conglomeration of many people.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm in a very happy marriage now, but
I know you
have
are.
a complete war chest that I can go to for
Awesome.
for fuel for songs.
For inspiration,
Yeah.
songwriters have to suffer
Yeah.
and they have to create their music from their pain. So obviously, Peter, you've had an excruciating life.
No, my
because
life's
your
been
music
fine.
is so good. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Appreciate it. Peter Searcy, ladies and gentlemen, who'll be back. Colby Helton from Meridian Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine. So happy happy to have you here.
So happy to be here.
You know, we met a couple of months ago at a fundraiser for Louisville Youth Choir, and I met your partner, Robert, and two of the other partners. I think there are 4 of you in Meridian Acupuncture, right? And so you actually were the one who answered my request to experience acupuncture before you came on the radio. So what I would like to know from you is, how did you go from being a St. X guy to being an herbalist and an acupuncturist? That's not the typical track that we think of.
Right.
Yeah, for guys who graduate from St. X. They're engineers, they're lawyers, they're all these great things. This is unique. I like it.
Well, it certainly wasn't the plan from the get-go. St. X is great because one of their best resources is the teachers that they have.
Absolutely.
And there's a guy there named Richard Ayers. He teaches Chinese. And he takes a group of students every year to China. And I was lucky enough to experience that after my freshman year.
Wow.
And went on to take his Chinese class and then stuck with it in college. And in college, I took another trip to China that was all about learning about the Chinese public health system, how Chinese medicine kind of plays a role in their public health system.
Amazing.
And from there, it just kind of planted the seed. And after I graduated college, I spent some more time in China and finally decided this is what I want to do, go into Chinese medicine.
Well, I love it. When I walked into Meridian Acupuncture the other day, which it's in the little Wallace Center there, 311 Wallace Avenue in St. Matthews, very close to Simply Thai.
That's right.
And I walked in and I immediately felt what I guess could only be described as the great feng shui. I mean, the way that the place is decorated, that's laid out, you've done a beautiful job with it, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
More importantly are the services that you provide, and those go from acupuncture to herbal medicine to massage therapy, and I experienced the acupuncture, and I actually asked you to take some pictures of me. So we've got those on our Ustream feed, and, you know, obviously... in the middle of my third eye, as you described it.
Right.
And the whole purpose of acupuncture is really a profound mystery to a lot of people. Give us the basic 5-second explanation of what this needle therapy does.
Right. Well, it's about balancing the body. Right? You can't be sick if your body is in perfect harmony. And a lot of times, you know, what we go through in life throws us out of whack. And by harmonizing the organs and the meridians associated with those organs, we can bring the body back into balance and feel healthy.
And herbal medicine is a big part of that, too. And one of the specialties that Meridian is offering is the fact that all of your ingredients are raw, and you've got jar after jar after jar of these delicious, natural, fresh, raw roots and everything else.
Right. It's actually pretty rare for an acupuncturist to also do herbal medicine as well, just because in China, typically you specialize in one or the other.
Yes.
It's even more rare for someone to have a completely fully stocked raw herbal pharmacy. Many people use kind of the pre-made pills and things like that, and we think the potency is so important.
Yes.
So we use all of the raw whole food ingredients and prepare them for our patients that way.
I love that, and you're actually kind of like a compound pharmacist of herbal medicine. You're pulling from all these things, and you're putting together these pieces of equipment that people can use to deal with life in so many ways. I mean, from physical to mental to emotional to stress. You're kind of covering the whole gamut for treatment.
Exactly. That's absolutely right. So, like you said, everything from sports injuries to insomnia, common
menopause.
Colds.
Guess
menopause,
what?
absolutely.
I have to say it at least once every show, but you know, I felt great when I walked out of there, and it's lasted a week. So I thank you, and so does everyone else who knows me.
I'm so glad to hear it.
The initial consultation is kind of fun because you sat and talked to me for, I don't know, 45 minutes about all the different things, had me fill out some extensive paperwork, and I found out what it was like to actually go into, you know, a different type of medicine. You're really approaching it on a totally different level from doctors. You see the body as a whole instead of just treating a broken ankle or an injured leg or whatever. You're treating my entire system.
Absolutely. A lot of times people come in and they say, can you give me the headache treatment or the headache formula? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really work that way. You really do have to look at the whole pattern, the whole person, and kind of understand constitutionally what's going on with their body. You know, why are they getting headaches or why are they having these menopause symptoms, for example? And then every treatment and every formula is individually tailored to the patient's needs, and that's how we have such great success.
Okay, so I found it fascinating that you listened to my voice, you looked into my eyes, you felt my pulses in my ankles and in my arms. Tell me what you're looking for in that initial assessment.
Well, it's basically the big things that give us information. Of course, question answering. We can start to paint a picture. And then we use especially facial diagnosis, tongue diagnosis, and pulse palpitation to really get a good read on what's going on. You can learn a lot from the tongue just because it's actually the only muscle that we can see in the body. So we get a good sense of kind of circulation in the body, moisture level.
He told me my tongue was dry, Peter, just FYI. So I'm drinking a lot more water.
That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pulses
Working
actually represent all of the organs in the body. So you can feel, how does the spleen feel? How does the kidney feel? And then balance them accordingly.
Pretty incredible. And when you go in to a place that is offering acupuncture and herbal medicine, you can only hope that there's a massage therapist on staff.
Absolutely.
And you have one.
A fantastic one. She's great. She has magic fingers.
Really? That's good, because everybody I know is under stress.
Yeah, and she's actually in the process of learning a new technique that's just going to blow people away, I think. So
now,
we're very excited about that.
Is this the woman? I know there's 2 guys and 2 gals who own this. Is this the woman who's the yoga instructor? Or the other one?
The yoga instructor is another one. So that's kind of one of our other back pocket secrets that we have.
Ancient Chinese secret, as they used to say on the old commercials. Yeah, I love that.
But she incorporates kind of the practice of Chinese medicine and understanding of that into her yoga teachings. So she's a great resource as well.
Okay, and the massage therapist is available. Now, the nice thing is that you can go into Meridian. You guys have great hours. And there's a beautiful website, and I really like what you've done with your website because it just moves and it gives you so much information. How can we get more information from you? Do you want to give us a telephone number that we can actually call if we have questions about acupuncture or herbal medicine or massage therapy?
You can. The website's a great way to reach us. You're welcome, of course, to stop on by. We're actually pretty flexible about even taking walk-ins.
Oh, good. That's great.
And, of course, give us a call at 290-8788. And it's
bank is and where the old Sears building is. Well, Simply Thai actually is still there, which is good.
Yeah.
So if you want to see Meridian, that's where it is. And it's an absolutely beautiful shop. Now, tell me who designed it, because it's got to be a combination of the 4 of you, or did you hire a professional?
It was definitely a group effort, but it's all us. All of our creative energies went into designing the place, from the layout, kind of the specific feng shui of the place, as you mentioned.
Yes.
In terms of getting energy to flow properly, keep it inviting. The paint scheme, the color scheme, and everything.
Yeah, the colors are beautiful.
It's all 100% us.
Do you have anything special that's coming up that you want to take this opportunity to talk about? Because if you have any introductory rates or offers or special programs, you want people to be able to take advantage of those.
We've been kicking around a couple ideas. Nothing concrete in the next couple of weeks, but follow us on Facebook.
Yes. And
we have that stuff up all the time. I think we are due up for a cooking demonstration.
Oh, that would be nice. So actually cooking what?
Well, we had one. They're called Cooking with the 5 Elements, and they're demonstrations that correspond to the seasons.
Fun.
So we did one for the winter, and I think we should have a spring one coming up pretty soon.
Oh, that sounds like fun. And you can find out more about all of the wonderful practices at Meridian. And we also want to thank you for being a sponsor of Take It From Tara.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you for being with us today. And we'll have you back. And I'm certainly going to be in for another acupuncture treatment because I think it was a lot of fun. Colby Helton, who is with us from Meridian Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine, thank you so much for your time. And all right, Mr. Searcy, I'm going to transition. I'm going to send Colby out, and I'm going to bring Justin Scally in, who is our guest from Louisville Metro Animal Services. Do you have any music that's either acupuncture or animal-oriented that you can share with us?
That's all it is.
Okay, good. Perfect. I love that. Take it away, Peter Searcy.
Am I singing one, too?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, well, that's not it.
Old MacDonald? That'll work.
I'm scared of you, you are of me. There's nothing new and there's nothing that we could do about it. You can live in me. Maybe one day I'll invent I'll get straight to the point. You can make me what you wanna be, or to be someone to make you smile, at least for a little while. You can invent me, maybe one day I'll invent you. We could be so perfect. You can invent me, and maybe one day I'll invent you. We could be so perfect.
I love Peter Searcy. Thank you so much, Peter, for sharing your beautiful music with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Every
I'm happy
single
to do it.
song that you do inspires me to continue to try to do the best interviews that I can. So thank you for
Well,
that.
that's good.
Yes, it
That's
is.
good.
And Justin Scali is such an easy interview because he's such a great guy. And I tell you what, I met him almost 2 years ago. It's been about 18 months, right?
About right.
So our new director of Louisville Metro Animal Services came into a big fat mess with a whole lot of problems, and in the last 18 months, a lot of those problems have been cleared up, and you've done pretty amazing work at our pound as well as our shelter for orphaned, strayed, leftover, surrendered animals, the disenfranchised pets. And it's a heartbreaking job, and somebody has to do it, and it's a good thing that it's you, because a lot of people haven't done your job so well. You've made a change, and I would like you to talk to us a little bit about those changes, Justin.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on the show this evening.
Happy to.
It is a challenge, but it takes a community to come up with the solutions as it relates to these things. And, we rely on the public to give these animals who have no voice a second chance at life.
That's right.
And, by doing that, we offer animals up for adoption. We have a foster care program. We have a volunteer program. And so many different ways that we try to engage the community to help be a part of the solution.
That's right. And one of the key things, and we were talking about this with the group before the show actually started, we need fosters. We need people who are willing to take in a dog or a cat, or maybe even a litter of puppies or kittens, and especially now that we're coming up on puppy and kitten season. We need them to take them in for even short periods of time, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, to give the animals a chance to be old enough to be spayed and neutered, or possibly to recover from an injury that they may have suffered, or multiple injuries in the case of many of the animals you deal with. Fosters are such an important part of your support network.
They are. They are essential to our success. We have so many different programs that we're working on, but the key about fostering is that it gives the animal the opportunity to bond with a person.
Yes.
And, they're able to work on the crate training and the, going to the bathroom outside.
That's right.
It just makes that pet much more adoptable.
Exactly.
And, we truly need help. We're going into the puppy and kitten season.
That's right.
And we need those extra homes because our capacity is only so much. And if we can reach out to the community and have them involved to help us with fostering, that's another way that we can save more lives.
That's exactly right. And you have long been an advocate of increasing the life-saving rate, and you've done so. And talk to us a little bit about the statistics when you came, where it was, and where it is today.
Sure. So, obviously it's a work in progress. Every single day, every single moment, we are working to save more animals.
That's right.
And, when I first came, the average adoption rate, 40-50% was around the average. I'll tell you, last month, our estimated live release rate was 81%.
That's fantastic.
So, we have a lot of work to get it sustained at that level.
Yes.
Because, this is our slower season.
Yes.
But we have no doubt that with the help of the community, the help of animal lovers right here in Louisville, that we will succeed.
Yeah, well, we have a huge number of animal lovers, and one of the key things is, we've talked about, and somebody else asked about this outside, the no-kill philosophy, which is saving as many lives as possible, and I think their number is at 90% saving for a shelter.
Correct.
And that's what you are working toward achieving and surpassing, I know, in a certain amount of time. Talk to us about your plan.
Sure. One of the ways we do that is through, trap, neuter, return. Working, we worked with the Metro Council, and had some legislation passed where it allowed us to trap, neuter, return cats, and it has made a significant difference in the lives of these cats in our community.
Yeah, because thousands were being taken to Metro Animal Services and euthanized just because people didn't know community cats can live perfectly well on their own if they just have a caretaker.
Right. And so we working with the Alley Cat allies who have been in the community for such a long time. Karen Little is wonderful.
She is.
We worked with them along with the Kentucky Humane Society and said, you know what, we're going to make this happen.
Yeah.
And we did. And now hundreds and eventually thousands of cats will be saved in Louisville because of it.
That's right. And one of the big things that you've been so on top of, Justin, is cruelty cases. And, we have seen some of the worst cases of animal abuse, torture, and cruelty in Louisville that we've ever been made aware of. And I think a lot of that used to be really swept under the rug. And you bring it to the forefront because you want people to see what people are capable of doing. And it's heartbreaking, but you, again, have worked with some pretty fantastic rescues and organizations to help to save these animals' lives.
I can't say enough about the local rescues in this community. They do a wonderful job and do so much more than we're able to do with our resources.
Yes.
You brought up a pretty it's an issue that touches me at my heart.
Me too.
With regards to abuse and neglect of animals. These animals are defenseless, they're voiceless, and they're relying on us to be their savior. And yet, folks fail to do that, whether it's through neglect, whether it's for intentional abuse. We see it every single day right here in Louisville in our own backyard.
Yes.
And we have to, as a community, take a stand against that and say that this will not be tolerated and that we're going to call the authorities and report animal abuse and neglect.
And you are the authority.
That's correct.
And you go out and you get these people. And that's what I love about the changes of this particular area of Louisville Metro Animal Services. You have gone with your officers and made these arrests and gotten these people who have tortured, who have shot with arrows or guns, who have hit with baseball bats and sticks, who have broken bones, who have absolutely terrorized these animals. And you've brought them to justice, and you continue to make that a priority.
It has to be a priority. It's about the animals, but it's also about the community, because there is a direct correlation between human and animal violence that cannot be denied.
Absolutely.
The FBI has recognized that, and we have to recognize that as a community, and that's why we have to take it seriously.
Absolutely. And I remember when Emma was in the hospital after she ran away and got hit. This is our coonhound. And you were such an instrumental part of her recovery because you got the word out and you had your animal services officers looking for her. But I was out there with her at Metropolitan the night that the cat was brought in who had been shot with an arrow. And I've never felt so helpless in my life. And I was so grateful to know that you were after those people. And so many of the resources of Metro Animal Services used to be dedicated to things that didn't really make a difference. And right now I feel that you're making a difference. And that's why we wanted you to come on the show and talk about the difference you're making.
Well, thank you. We could not do it without the wonderful volunteers and staff at Animal Services.
Yeah.
It's everybody working together.
Well, and the rescues, too. I mean, when we think about people like Rebecca Eves at the Arrow Fund and Derby City Dog Rescue and Saving Sunny and Misfit Rescues, all of these folks have come on this show to talk about the various animals that they have been a part of rescuing. And a lot of them are pulled from you. But, when you stop and think about the difference between what we're hearing from Louisville Metro Animal Services as far as statistics and what we're seeing in Taylor County and Green River and these horrible, filthy, disgusting, nasty kill studios that are literally all over the state of Kentucky, we have come a long way. And yet you say every day you go to work and you just want to come back and do it better the next day.
That's right.
Talk about your philosophy of working with animals when you have what could be a hopeless, helpless job.
It's not hopeless, and that's what I have to look at it as. Every day is a new day, and it's a new opportunity to do better than we did yesterday. And, that's a philosophy that we work with our staff and our volunteers and the rescue groups to institute. And as long as we live by the fact that if we can do better tomorrow than we did today, it will continue to get better.
Well, and you and Margaret and Donald, who are your lieutenants, literally, are doing a fantastic job of pulling things together at Louisville Metro Animal Services. And I know that the Animal House Adoption Center on Newburgh Road is the newest, but you are actually working toward a plan to develop the actual pound part of it, as we call it, the place where people take dogs and where they're surrendered and where strays are taken in. Currently on Manslick Road, you've made a lot of improvements to it, but we all would like to see it bulldozed, and we'd all like to see a new facility built. I know the plans are in the works for that.
Yes, we refer to it as an animal care center.
That's
Tara.
exactly right. Animal care center.
And we are hoping to build an animal care center that can really fulfill our needs. A state-of-the-art facility that provides the type of care that these animals in our community deserve.
That's right.
And so we are working on that, and we're hoping that the community again will help us with that as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, before Justin came, it was a pound. So I will stand by that, but I know that there have been a lot of changes toward animal care that have been remarkable, and we thank you for the efforts that you have made. And I think that the shelter groups that work with me, that I'm involved with throughout the city, have really excellent kudos for you.
Well, good.
And for your team.
It's for the team. That's what
right.
it's about.
Well, thank you, Justin Scally, for taking time to be with us. I know you never, ever fail to return a text about a lost dog or something that's concerning me, and you work 24 hours a day, and you still have a smile on your face.
That's
so
right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time to come in.
All right.
Justin Scally, head of Louisville Metro Animal Services. We'll have him back after puppy and kitten season and talk to him about plans for the summer and fall and how you can become involved in the Adoption Network. Check out Louisville Metro Animal Services on Facebook. Also, you can go to the LouisvilleKY.gov website and just search Louisville Metro Animal Services. All right, Peter, I'm ready for another song. What do you want to do this time? You've got 1 minute to play before we have Dr. Eli come in and talk to you about Annabelle.
All right. I'll just play a little bit of my first big radio song.
Awesome.
Losing light fast. There's just enough to let you know that I'm alive. Losing light fast. There's just enough to let you know that I still try. It's so hard. You're the only star that shines in my sky. It's so hard. You're the only reason that I try. I try.
You try, and you succeed. Peter Searcy. Hey, can we talk about that guitar for a minute?
Sure.
It has the nicest sound, and even before you plugged in, I was listening to it outside, and you said it's not like the most expensive guitar you have.
No. This is my guitar I take out to play shows now. I got tired of taking my expensive Taylor out, and then I got tired of taking my really expensive 1959 Gibson out.
Woo!
So I thought, I'm going to get this Martin, which I think I got for like almost $500.
Amazing.
And it's made for being played on stage. And I tell you, the neck on it, everything about it is as good as any of my guitars.
It's almost as good as Annabelle.
Almost.
So here's Dr. Eli Karam. Do you have any thoughts about Peter's song that you'd like to share with us, Dr. Eli, about Annabelle?
Well, it sounded good. Annabelle is an amalgam of all of your
Sure.
relationships. So, yeah, I find, we're going to talk about breakups today
Yeah.
and moving on. So
Yeah.
if you have some cathartic release, some way to kind of contextualize it and let it go, that's a good thing. Now, when you play that, do you think about the person or the people every time, or is it just part of your repertoire now?
It's part of the repertoire now.
Because he's happily married now.
Yeah, I mean, some of what I write is based on my relationship with my wife. It's based on past relationships. That one was more of a mental image that I had of a couple that got together they fell in love on a fire escape looking over the city, and that's the place that they also met and decided it was time to break up and leave.
Kill me. That's the knife to your heart right there.
And one of them, they both realize it's the right thing, but one of them is just having a harder time than the other,
Yikes.
letting go of the situation.
Yeah, that's how it goes. I mean, it's great when you break up and both people are on the same page, but usually somebody is initiating it.
Exactly.
So how you deal with that post-breakup is very important. So I think we got some tips for your listeners today.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Dr. Eli is the president of the Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. He's in the U of L Kent School of Social Work,
Very
right?
good, yeah.
And it's just fantastic to know that you are educating young people who are coming into the field. And my friend Matt Harris, who was here talking about yoga a couple of weeks ago, is one of them.
That's right.
And I'm so proud of him and grateful for you to give these folks an education in the kind of therapy that you have found so successful in helping with situations like how the heck to move on.
Yeah.
If you're not a songwriter and you don't have a way to get it out, How do you move on after you break up?
Yeah, well, first of all, I represent marriage and family therapists. So some people think, therapy has a stigma and, you can only go if you have problems. But marriage and family therapists are going to view the person in their whole interpersonal context. They're going to look for strength and health. So it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or breaking up. You don't have to be in a couple to see a marriage and family therapist. In fact, a lot of the work we do is working with people on how to exit relationships and how to move on. So the first tip would be, no matter what you do, I've never seen any relationship where one person is 100% of the blame, Tara. So you got to understand what your part in that breakup was.
Absolutely.
You don't have to score keep tit for tat, but you have to understand what you did that contributed to not making it work. Because the last thing you want to do is move on from relationship to relationship, and you keep getting in, either attracting the same people or getting into the same pattern. So you want to know what you did. Another thing is you got to feel the kind of, whether you call it the stages of grief or whatnot, you got to run through the whole roller coaster of emotions.
You really do.
So if you're not grieving that, well, it wasn't probably that significant of a relationship to start with.
Exactly.
So, and, depending on, how long you've been in the relationship, how much you've merged, whether it be children, pets, assets, obviously the longer you stay in it, the more work to kind of disentangle yourself. But let yourself feel the emotions. Another tip, do not, when finding outlets for grieving, do not go into anything that is going to be destructive, i.e. Picking up a really bad habit or going to friends that instead of calming you down will get you more fired up. Meaning
exactly.
They didn't like your ex, so they tell you things that get you fired up, or they keep, if your social circles, as Louisville is just a big, small town, we'll find out a lot of times you exit the relationship, but you can't really exit that social circle.
You can't.
So this idea of finding people that are going to be productive and knowing how to support you. Some friends, they think they're doing a good job by talking, a lot of trash about your ex, but really what you want is help moving on. So probably not talking about them and holding that boundary is the best thing.
Exactly. And, speaking of boundaries, and this has always been something fascinating to me, I didn't know what boundaries were for many, many years. And when I finally discovered exactly what they were, I was amazed and I was surprised at how effective learning what your boundaries are and how to set them can be in dealing with a situation like this.
Oh, yeah. We only know like two relationships. That or the one we're in, the one our prime relationship of our parents or the one we grew up in. So if you were in a family or family of origin, as we call it, where there weren't very good boundaries, where everybody was into everybody's business, then you have a hard time in knowing. The reverse of that is also true. If you come from a distant family where you didn't talk about anything, then you're kind of what I call left in the bubble of your head, in the sense that you're processing all of this stuff and you don't have a sounding board. So we don't want too rigid boundaries or too diffuse boundaries. So we want, a nice mix where, you have people to talk to. And the best thing to do is to have people and things that are supportive and are good outlets, self-care when you're moving on. But to try to do it alone is probably not a good idea either.
Well, I know I've been in the situation, and I know friends who've been in the situation, I'm sure all of us have been, where you're the person who's been the dumper, and you feel like, I've made the decision, I'm out of this thing, and now I'm going to go on and be happy and find the perfect person. Never really happens that way. And you have to really be careful about not jumping too quickly into a new relationship when you've just exited one that hasn't worked, right?
Yeah, we work with a lot of serial monogamists that jump from one relationship to the next.
Serial
That's right.
like
without really taking stock, is what I said earlier, is what their part in that. So you're right, to create some space. And I believe in this idea of kind of interdependence, in the sense that having a relationship, a kind of a stable base, someone that is there for you, but also being able to hang on your own. And some people that look for all their happiness, all of their good times, rises and falls with that other person, that's too much pressure for any partner. So you got to have some balance. I call it this kind of balance between me time and we time. And
yes.
If you don't know how to hang by yourself and enjoy some solitary things or some self-soothing or emotional regulation, it's going to be hard for you to be successful in a long-term committed relationship. And some people jump into them very quickly, these kind of joined at the hip relationships, but they burn out equally as fast if they don't have these other pieces.
Now, offer some words of consolation for the dumpee. Because when you are the dumpee, it's a terrible feeling, because you didn't make the choice, number one. You wanted to stay in the relationship, or you thought there was something worth salvaging. And suddenly you're on your own. You're not in the same circle of friends. People are choosing sides. And you just really don't know what to do. So a lot of your time, I think, is spent struggling, crying, wondering, what did I do wrong?
Well, yeah, if you're the dumpee, it's really easy to see yourself as the problem. Like I was saying earlier, no one person is 100% the problem in the relationship. So the dumpee has to view themselves as not a complete failure just because this relationship didn't work out. They have to look to what they did do. And again, a relationship is not a failure as long as you learn from it. So as long as you don't repeat those same mistakes going forward. And those are the type of people, dumpees, that seek out marriage and family therapist. And like I said, you don't have to be in a relationship to see an MFT, but that is a neutral party who can help you process some of this stuff and kind of to move on and to not feel that you're damaged goods just because one relationship didn't work out.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most challenging times in your life, don't you, Eli, where you actually have been half of a partnership, and suddenly you're a solo act.
That's right. I mean, and especially if you've invested, months or even years, and sometimes it is hard to think of your life without that other person. And you go through these events or these milestones and thinking about, well, last year I was with my partner, or we did this and that. So this anticipatory loss, and it's sometimes what we call an ambiguous loss, because that person is still there. They might be across town, but your life is moving on without them. So to be able to feel, as I said, the full range of emotions, but not to be stuck on it and to move on. And that's where when you have these protective factors of other good people in your life, other good things. Some people will throw themselves into work or volunteering, but you just want to stay busy. And if anybody, one of the things we do for depression, no matter what, is this notion of behavioral activation, staying busy, getting back to normal as much as you can.
What do they call it? Action over anxiety?
That's right.
Here's the other new thing that's happened in the last maybe 5 to 10 years. We have the whole gamut of emotions running on social media.
Sure.
It used to be that you could just break up with somebody and only your friends who you told about it would know. Now, your status changes immediately, and all of the comments and the pictures and the bad memories just seem to overflow onto Facebook.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when you are feeling that, to have a sounding board to vent is very important, a safe person or something else. But
not the whole world.
No, and sometimes people do in this world of your kind of digital footprint, if you will, when you put something out there and you regret it the next day, a drunken tweet or a Facebook post or something that seemed good at the time, but later it doesn't, you're exactly right. That's something you can't turn back. And it also keeps kind of the drama going of these natural kind of healing and ending and transitioning into new relationships. So, you definitely want to watch. Some people, when they're breaking up, they'll come in to see a marriage and family therapist or someone like me. The idea of suspending their social media for a while is not necessarily a bad idea.
So what do you do in a situation where there's an actual cause for the breakup, where somebody has to get out? And this is a situation that I've talked to Marta Miranda about from the Center for Women and Families. There's an abuse situation. There's a drug or alcohol problem. Do you suggest that the complete cutoff is probably the best and safest way to go about it? Because I know a lot of people who are in those situations sometimes want to save their partner, save them from drugs, save them from alcohol, save them from themselves, their violence.
Right. Just because you end the relationship doesn't mean you don't care about that person. And, but to work on any relationship, and marriage and family therapists also, they work with as many, as I said, divorcing families as they do intact families. So, but there has to be safety. And I define safety as obviously physical safety, emotional safety. Are you going to exploit my vulnerabilities? Are you going to hit below the belt? And this idea of commitment safety, are we committed to exiting and transitioning? But if you don't have any of those, it's really hard to work on exiting a relationship, even if you love that person. So it's got to be safe. And sometimes people, they fool themselves into thinking it is, but their partner is not, or their ex is not making it conducive for them to move on. And we go back to those boundaries. It's like, I don't want to be with you, but I don't want you to have anybody else either.
That's right.
Those aren't safe relationships.
Well, and then we have the innocent victims, and it's always either the two-legged or the four-legged children. And nowadays, it seems to be even more of a trauma for people who haven't had children of their own, because they have these dogs and cats that have cohabitated, formed relationships within their little packs, and then suddenly are rent apart.
I've worked with many couples, and they've agreed on all terms of whether they're legally married or not, all terms of the exiting of the relationship, of the separation, except the pets.
Isn't that amazing?
And it is amazing that people form attachments to animals. I have 2 dogs, and one is pretty sick right now, but they've been with us through the whole 12-year history of my relationship. So it's like it's hard. Well, long before I had kids, so it's hard to imagine you having to split animals. But and you're right, some people are very, very attached to their animals.
And that's a very important part of a separation agreement.
Sure. And
if you're breaking up with somebody, you better figure out what to do about those kids.
Exactly. And the idea of visitation of animals doesn't work as well as it does with kids. So it's usually one person having to part with the animal. Yeah, and sometimes it's split the dogs and the cats up, and sometimes it's 2 of each and 3 of another. I mean, if you have a bunch, there's a problem. I don't know about what you do about the fish. Fish. Set up a separate aquarium. I guess it can be transported, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, the Kent School of Social Work is one of the finest schools in the nation for turning out doctors, and you see why, doctors of marriage and family therapy like Eli Karam. And you can look at his website. He's
Dr. Eli Karam on Facebook, and he has absolutely incredible information that he can share with you. Do you want to give us another website or a way to get in touch with you at Kent School if people are looking for counseling?
Well, you can go to www.elikaram.com, and that's going to have all my information. Also, under the media section, you can see all this good psychoeducation we've been spreading around Louisville and nationally over the last couple of years. You can also go to www.therapistlocator.net. Now, that is going to be the national clearinghouse through the American Association of Marriage and Family Therapy to give you a therapist. So if you're listening out there and you say, hey, I have a relational issue, whether I'm an individual or in a couple or a family, I might need to find a therapist. What you go to is therapistlocator.net. Put in your zip code anywhere out in Crescent Hill radio country, and you can find a licensed marriage and family therapist. Pretty
Wonderful.
easy.
Or you can just go to Dr. Eli, because, you know, when we used to come on Louisville Live and Becca and I would interview you, and in between segments we would ask him about all of our personal issues that we needed to have solved.
That's right.
Thanks for coming back into the life here, Dr. Eli. Great to see you too. We're looking forward to talking to Eli Karam again at some point in the near future, but for today, if you are interested in finding out more, just check him out on Facebook. Dr. Eli Karam, and his website is the same?
Yep, www.elikaram.com. Also, Twitter, Dr. Eli Live.
Excellent. And Peter Searcy, do you have another one of those songs about exes in your brain that you can share with us? Because I want to give you one more big featured spotlight. Give us a good 3 minutes, okay?
I'm going to do one that I've played at a lot of weddings.
I'd love that.
I'm going to take it the other direction.
We're going to go the other direction. We're going to go happiness
Health
in relationships.
and strength. That's where we go.
Peter Searcy.
You can believe in one thing, believe that I love you, believing if I don't know really quite how I'm supposed to. If you can believe in one thing, believe it too. Try to believe in me and you, 'cause I need a little help with this. 'Cause no one's ever taught me how to love the way normal people do, just like me and you. So tell me if I get it wrong, 'cause it might be the only way I've ever played this game before. And tell me if I get it right, and if it's okay for me to believe in something. You can believe in one thing you want about me, 'cause I got trouble believing in anything. It's not that I don't really want to, I give anything to. That's why I need you now. Oh, and I need a little help with this, because no one's ever taught me how to love the way normal people do, just like me and you. So tell me if I get it wrong, 'cause it might be the only way I've ever played this game before. So tell me if I get it right, and if it's okay for me to believe in something.
Love it. What's the title of that one?
It's called One Thing.
One Thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have so many things. I don't know how you can narrow it down to one thing, but thank you for taking the time to come in and be with us tonight.
Absolutely.
Because it was
Always.
absolutely beautiful. You want to give me a little, well, I'm going to ask for walking music in a minute, but first, we want to thank Tammy Lewis-Conti and Tabby Lewis-Conti for being great supporters of Take It From Tara, and also for supporting An Act of Dog, which can be found at anactofdog.org, a wonderful program that is going on right now in this city. It's a project that Mark Baroni is painting. He's doing 5,500 portraits of dogs to represent the 5,500 100 dogs killed every day in the United States due to complete lack of ability to manage our shelter system. And these dogs were healthy, adoptable animals, much like the ones that we were talking to Justin Scally about saving. And they all died because there was no reason for them. I'm not going to tell you even why. There was no reason for these deaths. He's going to create a memorial museum, which we hope will stay here in Louisville, that will remind us forever of our responsibility to our furry four-legged friends. And we really appreciate the efforts of the folks at An Active Dog, Mark Baroni and Marina Dervin, two great community leaders as well as friends of Crescent Hill Radio. We love them both very much, and we appreciate Tammy and Tabby Lewis-Conti supporting their fantastic project, An Active Dog. Mark Baroni is on a mission. The artist is well on his way to painting the portraits of 5,500 dogs who have been euthanized in shelters across America as a way to symbolize the number of dogs who lose their lives in shelters every single day. Mark and his partner Marina Dervin have dedicated their lives to creating An Active Dog, and we invite you to see this incredibly poignant exhibit with us on February 7th, 5 to 7 p.m. at Melwood Arts Center, 1860 Melwood Avenue. Find out how you can support the permanent installation of An Active Dog in Louisville. Sponsored by Tammy and Tabby Lewis-Conti. And Peter Searcy, we want to thank you for your wonderful time tonight. Our sponsor for the week, Colby Helton from Meridian Acupuncture and Herbal Medicine, as well as Tammy and Tabby Lewis-Conti for An Active Dog. Mike Mays from Heine Brothers Coffee. We sure appreciated that coffee talk. Dr. Eli Karam and all his wonderful relationship advice. And Justin Scally from Metro Animal Services. Next week, our musical guests are Tim Kelty and Lori Jessup. Educational Justice's Sarah Schaefer speaks out on the ACT prep time. It's a really, really critical subject for families with college-bound kids. Tanya Abelin is here, our social side of Louisville correspondent, with the latest on the Julep Ball coming up. And we really, really want you to know how grateful we are for you. Another Peter is coming, Peter Holloway from Stage One Family Theater, and Emily Pfeiffer here from the Bristol to talk about the great Scooter Ray Designs for Derby runway show that they are sponsoring for the Kentucky Derby. Peter Searcy, thanks again for being with us. We will see you next Monday at 5, live on Take It From Tara right here on Crescent Hill Radio.
I know that you've had your doubts, you lose the sleep because you think about just where you belong in this great big world. Somewhere between the start and the finish line, you're in and out of time. That's where you belong. From where we stand, you know it's easy to see. There's no need for you to have to worry about anything at all. I believe in you. I believe in you soon. You believe in you too.
So much going on in this town. We're so lucky to have an expert around. But when you need advice on what's really going down, take it from Tara. With so many choices, it ain't easy. Get the bang for your buck, give your dollar a squeezy. The girl's got the answer, you better believe me. Take it from Tara. Take it from Tara. Take it from Tara. Take it from Tara.
Now here's the Rusty Ends Blues Band.